Well, hello, my friends. This is episode 2 of my video blog about genealogical research and looking into your family history. And I hope last week's show wasn't too long, too short, or over your head. I was just really introducing myself. Again, it's Brent Wilcox talking about family history research, and I've been in this for about 35 years, not a certified genealogist by any stretch of the imagination, but I got a lot of experience, so I hope to pass a few things along. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of charts that I had in my last week's show, but with some interesting perturbations or differences that I want to point out. Remember, the first one that I showed you was a pretty detailed pedigree chart for me. I'm the only person who is alive on this sheet, so none of these people can be canceled or shamed. Interesting concept. But I show you this because this is a 5 generation chart that I've created using some software, and it can be intimidating for someone just starting out. So let's move it to a different chart, just a snippet really of the first one. This shows grandparents and great grandparents. And like I urged you in the first episode on charting out your family history, start simple. Don't just jump in and expect to get back to the Mayflower or to Britain or North Africa or the Far East on the first couple of days of work. Start with your own self. Start with your parents. Note down their birthdays and death days and other significant things, and ask them about their parents. If their parents are still alive, those are your grandparents. Those are great people to talk to about when they were born, what they've done with their lives, when they were married, the places that they've been, and put that into your record. And hopefully they'll have some memories of their parents. These would be your great grandparents, like are showing on this chart that I've got on the screen. Now, when I started out in 1985 or so, I told you that my Aunt Ethel decided that I would be the family historian. And who knows, maybe this has happened to you. But this next chart I'm showing you is the first page of her pencil written record that she started back in the early 1950s. As you can see, her handwriting was tiny and but pretty clear, really. After a few years of trying to read her writing, I got pretty good at it. But there were a couple of things that pointed out to me that I have an anomaly that perhaps other people have in their families, and that is I've got double relatives. And by that, what I mean is on this next chart, you'll see I'm going back to that simplified pedigree chart. There's two people on this chart that I've highlighted in red. Hopefully you can see them. That's Joseph Parkison and Minnie Alma Parkison. Now, I knew I had Parkison people in my family history because my dad talked about them. And it turns out that I've got two different Parkinsons in my family tree as you're looking at this chart. And so I began to wonder, well, did something weird or strange happen? But there's another person that's highlighted in that chart. If you look over on the far right, down about 2/3 of the way, is John Harrison Parkison. He's highlighted in green. John Harrison Parkison is the patriarch, or was the patriarch for a long time, that I knew of in my family. But it turns out his children had children, and in two of those different lines of children, I descend. My mother's family descends through Minnie Alma Parkison, and my father's line passes to me through Joseph Parkison, and both of them are first or second generation relatives of John Harrison Parkison. So I can probably say that I'm related to my parents without being their son, some sort of distant cousin, I suppose. But that's just an example of what you might find as you work on your family history. And I bring it up because surprising things like this happen all the time. I've done a lot of research now on John Harrison Parkison, and I would like to emphasize one more simple point for you as you start out. Look for information from fairly unlikely sources or places where you don't know if you'll find out anything that might be of value, and they might be of tremendous value. Now, I never knew what John Harrison Parkison looked like. He was born before photography really took off, and he was quite an enigma from that standpoint. But I went to a family reunion of a branch of the Parkison family that's over in Oregon and over on the east coast of Oregon. And behold and lo, I found a cousin, a distant cousin of mine, who had an album of old photographs. And we found a picture of John Harrison Parkison, taken in the late 1850s, I suspect. There was no date on it, of course, but I'll show it to you here. Again, like I say, you never know what you'll find from whatever source you may come across. And my advice is to take advantage of it. Now, that's going to be the end of our blog for today. I promise to keep these to 5 minutes or less. Next time, I want to talk about something else that I discovered that was quite a surprise, and something similar may surprise you as well. And that was a very gruesome and a horrifying murder that took place, again from another cousin that I had no idea was mine, down near Los Angeles. We'll save that story for our next episode. Thanks very much. Again, it's Brent Wilcox here in Spokane, Washington. Keep searching for your families.